Hello, welcome to When the Smoke Clears. I am the Recovery Plug. How's it going, everybody? Well, thank you for joining my podcast video today. Man, it's a pretty cool day today. I'm out here downtown San Antonio, and enjoying the sun. The weather's really good, and they're having a football game today over at the Alamo Dome. The Colorado Buffaloes are going to be playing BYU, and man, it's supposed to be a pretty good game. So yeah, so I don't know who to go for, but I like Colorado because Deion Sanders is coach, and I like BYU because one of my high school classmates, which was a Heisman Trophy winner, I forgot what year it was, in the 90s, Mr. Ty Detmer, he won the Heisman Trophy winner, and he's alma mater he's a BYU guy. So yeah, I think I'm going to go for BYU. So yeah, and but anyway, let's get today's video podcast started with, like I always do, the Serenity Prayer for the addict who still suffers. So if you would, please, a moment of silence followed by Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Alrighty. Well, how's it going, everybody? Man, well, what I'm gonna do today in this video is I'm gonna read a little bit of this book, and it's called The Optimisfits, and this is the book right here. And man, this book is turning out to be an awesome book. It's got a lot of insight on anxiety, depression, addiction, and just isolation, just all those types of topics. So it all kind of intertwined itself into the into recovery. You know what I mean? And to spirituality. So this is a really good book. I really recommend this book. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna read a chapter in this book, and this is the fifth chapter, and it's called God and My Squad. And so I'm gonna take these off and put these on so that I can read. But yeah, so I'm gonna read this, and then after I'm done with the chapter, then we'll go over it a little bit and see what kind of information we gathered out of it, and something useful for somebody. So I know it's been kind of opened my eyes to a few things. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set this mic down, and hopefully, well, maybe I won't because I don't want the sound to get too bad. But here it goes. Chapter 5 of The Optimisfits, called God and My Squad. I used to be a loner. For much of my life, particularly during my 20s, I didn't have a lot of friends. I told myself that I was just too busy to hang out. I was defined by the grind. I would hustle and sweat and work long hours, and I was miserable. But it took me a while to catch on to that fact. I became my own best friend. As long as I was burning the midnight oil, I thought I was happy. I meant more to me than my friendship. Work meant more to me than my friendship. My best buddies were those who'd written the books I loved. People like C.S. Lewis, J.C. Churston, Shakespeare, Kierkegaard, and George MacDonald. Problem was, they were all dead. Frankly, this made for rather a one-sided conversation. Then I discovered the Power Squad. The old-fashioned word is community, but I found myself surrounded by a group of people who didn't just commune, they dived into life with all the purpose of sports team intent and winning. It happened because God brought actual living human beings to my life. They pulled me out of my own head. They gave me something to think about. Beyond the unholy trinity of myself and I, and the boring life the three of us led together, it was like going from womb to world or caterpillar to butterfly. It was like messing about with missions before taking flight on the Millennium Falcon. I took the jump from outside to solidarity with my squad at my side. I could live a better life. I went from the loneliness to the joy of real friendship. It is better to infiltrate than to isolate. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Man, that's a really cool quote. Uh, okay, then the way not to give up is to squat up. My friends and I are living a different kind of life with God. We are embracing a different kind of optimism. Not just wishful thinking, not just positive thinking, but transcendent thinking. We aim to transcend both the churchy optimism that is out of the weeds as well as the aesthetic pessimism that leaves everyone in the dumps by acting with a fearless hopefulness. We refuse to let the world just happen to us. We happen to the world. We are ridiculously hopeful, unapologetically rebellious, and are in the adventure together. Too many people die with their song still inside of them. Too many people die with in their 20s and buried in their 70s. Too many people exist but don't actually live. They breathe and perspire, but they are acting like not much more than a bag of bones of carbon footprint. They are alone and they despair. Our generation tries to deal with this loneliness by popping pills to keep us cheerful, checking our iPhone every 20 seconds to see if we still matter, and trying to build our virtual kingdom by the World of Warcraft 25 and by watching way too much television. Stephen King once said that it is not the great tragedies of life that make one suicidal, but that sometimes one just gets tired of watching afternoon television. Here in America, we consume more pills to ease our depression and anxiety by 3 times than the rest of the world combined. Antidepressants are some of the fastest selling prescription medications in the United States. Suicide is one of the top 10 causes of death in their land of broken hearts. We are a nation built on life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, but we are stressed, distressed, depressed, and in deep debt. Earlier in this book, I referred to my depression. It's been said that the scars you share become lighthouses for others. Maybe I can help you avoid some of the rocks that nearly shipwrecked me. Depression is awful. During my own flight with despair, I hated waking up in the morning to face another day. I was like Finnick in Mockingjay. I would drag myself out of nightmares every morning to find no relief in waking. My future stretched out before me as an infinite grayness, with nothing to look forward to that I could actually take a joy in. I knew God was walking alongside me by the shadow valley, but somehow that didn't stop me from despairing of life whenever dawn rolled around. To make things worse, I was a pastor. As a pastor, you are supposed to have your act together. You are supposed to be able to inspire others, but I couldn't even inspire myself. You're supposed to have the answers, but all I had was a growing list of questions. I was just so tired of all I wanted to do was lie down and sleep. Here I was, the 18-year-old wonder what kind it was good at what I did. People said that they found my sermons wiser than my age would allow for. I was telling people how to find peace and joy with God, but inside I felt empty. The harder I tried, the more depressed I became. I tried to act like a good churchy pastor, but I was really more interested in watching Star Wars again the for the 87th time, or shooting hoops than hanging out around people who were expecting me to be somber, serious saint everyone expected me to be. I started to quote from Ecclesiastes a lot in my talks. My life verse became meaningless. Everything is meaningless. I agreed with Herman Melville. The Ecclesiastes was the truest book in the Bible. It summed up how I felt pretty neatly, and even on those mornings when I kept busy and felt a little more okay, I knew that by the mid-afternoon the poisonous bank of mental fog would come rolling in again, and I thought about death a lot. Since many of the greatest people in history had struggled with the same battle that I was facing, I found a little bit more ironic encouragement in that. After all, that great prophet Elijah was almost suicidal in his despair. Job cursed the day he was born. Abraham sometimes walked alone in the woods with the shotgun cradled in his arm, tempted to kill himself. Winston Churchill had to insist on a flat and lower floor lest he decided on a whim to fling himself off the balcony, and Charles Spurgeon, the prince of preachers, would descend into crippling depression every Sunday night after spitting out golden words at every morning. In the greatness thinkers found it like gloomy who was I to argue. My mind was as full as scorpions as Macbeth. But then everything changed. You might think I'm going to tell you about some life-changing, ecstatic religious experience or how God appeared to me in the bodily form to tell me everything I was going form to tell me everything was going to be okay, or that I won the lottery and somehow and now my dreams would come true. No, it was nothing like that. Instead, a squad of Optimisfits invited me out of my loneliness and called me to quit all the existential navel gazing. Every person has a different story, and I'm not saying that everyone's depression will be lifted in the same way that mine was, nor am I saying that this was a magical overnight transformation, but I am saying that I had to get outside my own head to start embracing my need for people in my life. Friends, a squad of fellow travelers, not just God, but people. I could do my life by myself, and when I realized that the fact things began to change. These people taught me that I needed to stop being vanilla and boring and predictable. They told me to stop apologizing and that I couldn't live up to other people's expectations for me. They showed me how to dance in defiance of the dark. They taught me how to have fun. Alone, life was a philosophical problem with them. Life was an adventure. We decided that life was a splendid thing and that we could suck all the marrow out of life, just like Thoreau said. We could put to rout all that was not life, a life of quiet desperation. Well, that was for chumps. Instead, I wanted to walk with the living God. Here in the land of the living, walking with God is fun. He's the one who put the fun back in funeral. God and the squad, that was the secret we found to happiness and meaning. We wanted to change the world, and we realized that changing the world would be the best kind of fun, and the fun was the best way to change the world. We'd skateboard and excitingly discuss the finer points of C. Lewis' The Great Divorce. We've live crazy to show the world that hopelessness is not only for the opinion of for how we live. We'd be the alarm clock to waken the soul of a country that has put its hopes to bed. Now that I have invited my friends into my life, I can see much more clearly. When C.S. Lewis was alone, he bereaved after the death of his wife and wisely wrote, "You can't see anything properly when your eyes are blurred with tears." So true. My squad helped me see clearly again. They showed me that God doesn't want my life to be miserable. He wants my life to be memorable. We may sow in tears today, but we will reap in joy tomorrow. If you are trying to do it. If you are trying to go it alone, let me encourage you to find your own squad. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes some risking, a lot of vulnerability, and putting your fear of being known aside. But you can find better life when you pursue life with others. Open up, squad up, and embark on the friend adventure. So that's the end of the chapter, man, and that's a pretty powerful chapter. You know what I mean? Gosh, I could really relate to that chapter because, I mean, it's telling you that this person who was a pastor by you know to begin with, and how he felt so alone when he's, as a pastor, you're a leader. You're the leader of a congregation. So people are following you, and when you have all these people following you, and you're doing sermons, and people are taking all this stuff that's coming out of your mouth, and at the end of the day you feel alone, then you have to get, like he said, out of your head. You have to get out of your comfort zone. And that's one of the things that in my life personally, in the things that had bothered me, that drew me to the addiction of drugs and that and whatnot, was the dealing mentally with the childhood traumatic experiences, dealing mentally with the PTSDs, dealing mentally with the depression, dealing mentally with the anger, and all of those types of things are just one of the things that you have to, like he said, you have to get outside of your box to start knocking those walls down, because it's going to take more than just you to do that. You know what I mean? And from what I'm gathering there in that chapter is that you need to collectively start an army of followers, an army, and in my case, it's an army of people dealing with the neurological brain disease in the form, in mine personally, is in the form of childhood traumatic experience and PTSDs and drug addiction and depression and anger and just a list of things that are that those were the things I was sick of, and I'm still sick of those things. But today I have an army. I have an Optimisfits squad group, like he says, that I have a squad of Optimisfits that I go to. And those are the people that I deal with in my faith-based community, in my church community, in the peer support groups that I go to, in the NA and AA meetings that I go to. Those are, oh gosh, let me fix that. Sorry about that, fellas. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so those are the things that are key to getting out of those kinds of things. That if you're dealing with those, just like the book said, and to have a squad of Optimisfits is one of the things that is going to be key in any type of progression, whether it's whether you're dealing with the addiction, whether you're dealing with anything that has to do with the neurological brain disorders, right? And for me personally, that was dealing with the depressions, dealing with the anger, dealing with the drug addiction, and when I started involving myself in those communities and those with different people, and getting outside of my head and not isolating myself and just beating myself up and that sort of thing, then things started looking clearer. Then the smoke started clearing, if you will, and then you could start seeing clearly. Like he said, you can't see too good when your eyes are teared up. You're seeing a little blurry, but when you're gonna have to go through those adversities. Know that you have to go through adversities to get to somewhere that's going to be a better place in your life, and by following the higher power, the spirituality, those things are going to be key for you getting out of where you are if you're in the darkness, and to keep you going if you're recovered. You know what I mean? Because I know that. I was at one point in my life, I had stayed sober for 10 years and then relapsed, and what happened is that I got away from my community. I got away from my squad of my Optimisfits, and when I did that, man, it took me right back to the addiction, and I stayed there for years. And I'm glad to say today that I'm here doing these podcast videos, clean and sober, and I'm grateful to my higher power for that. Because had I not cried out, had I not gave it up to him and said, man, you take the wheel now, because I haven't been able to drive my life worth of crap, and please help me, and please let me. You can have the things that I can't change. You know what I mean? There's no reason for me to stress out about, to get depressed about, to get mad about the things that I can't change, because it's useless. It's wasted energy. And so, yeah, when I looked inside and mentally and spiritually saw that and was able to say, you know what, it's your turn. You take over. And when I did that, man, did my life start getting better, and it is better, and I'm grateful for that. And I hope that somebody is hearing this message today. Hopefully that we're able to get you out of that depression, that anxiety. If you're taking those pills, if you're taking that drug, if you're taking that first drink, and we'd encourage you not to, and we'd encourage you to get into a squad of Optimisfits in a form of your local church, your local NA group, your local AA group, or just another addict helping another addict. That's how it works. And by the grace of God, I'm glad to be here doing these podcasts here today to try to help somebody else. And I guess if you would please, at this time, I'd like to encourage you guys to please give me a thumbs up, share my channel, subscribe to my channel. Just know that when you do hit the thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, or share my channel, that you will be helping another person dealing with depression, anxieties, addictions, anger, all those types of things. You just know that you'll be helping another person, and we really appreciate you guys listening to the podcast video today. And I hope that you guys will be encouraged to take that first step forward. And I know that I'm excited to be doing these videos, and I'm excited to share the message and see if I can bring. That's my goal, is to try to bring as many people over to this side of recovery and positivity as possible. And I guess just again, please share my channel. I'd really appreciate that. And it doesn't cost you a thing. All you got to do is tap that little button there, and you'd be helping out another person dealing with addiction, homelessness, depression, anxiety, PTSDs, and the list goes on. But I really appreciate you guys watching the video today, and I'm grateful and thankful. So I guess until the next time on When the Smoke Clears, I am the Recovery Plug.